Hi, my beautiful friends. Welcome back or welcome if it is your first time here. Today I have for you another Sims 4 build video. Who could have guessed? And today we are building a base game only home. Now, I don't know that I've ever built a base game only home unless when I first bought The Sims 4 and all I had was the base game, but that was like years ago. So I don't normally try and do just base game builds because I like to play in really nicely cutted homes, and I normally just build homes for myself, not really for like the gallery or anything. But I thought I would challenge myself today and try and build a strictly only base game, sort of like Craftsman style home for a family. And so that is what I have for you today. Also, I then went on afterwards and renovated it using all of the packs that I own. It's not all of the packs, but like it's the most of the packs, to be honest. I own quite a lot of packs. So yeah, we're gonna see the two different versions, not in this video. I think I'll post the like renovation video probably straight after this one. So make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss that, because we will be able to see which one we prefer. Based on, because obviously I've done these already, I think I actually prefer the exterior of the base game home, but the interior of the all packs home. I'm really sorry if you could hear my dog. Lily, why are you snoring so loudly? Little snoring pig. Yeah, my dog's asleep on the sofa, so I'm sorry if you can hear that. But let's get into it. Okay, so as always, I'm starting with the shell, and like I mentioned, I did want to do like a very sort of like craftsman style home. So they tend to have like the porches, they tend to have dormers as well. The inspiration photo that I actually had for this, again, was from Pinterest, but it only had like one big dormer, but I decided that I wanted to put two dormers in. Dormers, by the way, are those little rooms that sort of like could come at the top, like through the roof, sort of what I'm working on right now. I actually didn't know that they're called dormers, but that's what they're called. So they're like the rooms in the roof. And normally I find craftsman roofs really annoying to do, because normally you need sort of like a really big half gabled roof at the back, and then normally it messes with the rooms inside because the roof like glitches into the rooms. So to do sort of like a craftsman style roof, you do have to do it in pieces, which is what I'm working on here. So you see I'm going in with like 3 different pieces. I really wanted that middle part in between the rooms to connect the two rooms so we could have sort of like a proper upstairs. But unfortunately, I just couldn't get it to work with the roof. So I just have two individual rooms, and I put ladders up to both of them, and they turn into a teens room and a kids room. But I'm adding on a chimney now, and the front porch balcony area is a little bit bigger than the back one. And you can see it has sort of like that triangle part, like the triangle detail in the middle of the roof. Honestly, I find it a bit difficult to use just base game like columns and stuff, because I find a lot of the columns are like really weirdly like detailed. Like they have weird details on them. They're just not like plain. Um, this is the bit that I love the most. Honestly, like the exterior colors is just so fun. So you can see I did like this orange like paneling siding on the top, and then on the bottom I just went in with that like white brick. But I was like, do you know what, this is so boring, and I've been trying to be more colourful recently, so I go ahead and change the brick that is on the bottom part, and I turn it into this like beautiful colour. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm trying to find a chimney now, and honestly, again, I really struggle with the base game chimneys because they're all kind of like weird to me. Like I love sort of like the chimneys from like cats and dogs or like cottage living. I guess they're very like British chimneys, and I'm British, so it makes sense. But the chimneys that we have like base game, they all have like weird triangular details on the top. Or I don't know, they just look weird to me. Like I've never seen a chimney like that before. I'm just going in and painting the roof and adding some windows. I decided on obviously those base game ones, and also the base game like doors, like for front doors. I think they're quite ugly, but I used a sliding glass door in the back, and I'm going ahead and changing over these windows, just these ones, because I felt like the other ones were a bit sort of like dull. Like they weren't like a very bright white, and I wanted them to be quite a bright white. I went ahead and put it on a foundation because pretty much every craftsman home I've ever seen has like a foundation, and then it has like the fenced in sort of like porch area. So that's what we're working on now. I was trying to find just like some nice stairs. Also, the reference photo that I had sort of like a concrete wall, which is why you saw me go in with that, but I decided to just use this like normal looking fencing. And as well, if you delete the fence from where you're going to put the stairs, it saves money. Not that this is like a budget build. Like I mentioned, I'm not doing a budget. I don't tend to do those because I can't stand not having my house colored. Honestly, it really upsets me. But I'm just working on like a little pathway for the entrance, and I'm trying to find some lights to put outside, which again was really difficult because the base game just does not have like a lot of the stuff they have is like very outdated. It's like modern, but what people thought would be modern like years ago. So it's not actually modern, it all just looks kind of ugly in my opinion, like a lot of stuff. But I decided to change over to these columns. Again, you can see they have like that weird detailing on them. I don't understand why they don't have just plain square columns. They have like plain circular ones, but they don't have plain square ones. But I'm adding some columns here just to add a little bit of detail, almost like a highlight to the build. And I was trying to figure out the interior situation. So I was going in with ladders. And you can see by now that I have changed the colour of the wallpaper of the downstairs to this like beautiful brick blue on the outside, which I am obsessed with. And I don't know why I cut that out, but we're adding a fireplace into where the actual chimney is. This is going to give us a bit more extra room instead of having sort of like a little closed off part where the chimney is. So I just put the fireplace in there. I think I've seen like Sid Mac do that, and that's why I did it, because I had seen her do it. And I'm trying to figure out what I want to do for my living room. I know I want my living room here where the fireplace is. That just makes sense to me. And I know I want kids in this build, so I was trying to incorporate kids into like the whole build, not just like in the kids' room. A lot of the times I will like I'll put a lot of kids stuff in the kids' room, but then the rest of the house you really can't tell that kids live there. So I've been trying a lot recently to make it a bit more obvious that kids live in the house by adding toys and mess and stuff into like the living room or like places that would actually happen in like real life homes. You can see I'm working on sort of like this. I think it's called a galley style kitchen. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's called a galley style kitchen where the counters are on either side and you can like walk through the middle. Honestly, it's sort of the only space I had for a kitchen. The layout kind of ended up working really well. I was kind of really worried about the layout because it's quite a. It's not small, but it's quite a small like just big box. So figuring out a layout was pretty difficult, especially because I wanted 3 bedrooms. And I managed to fit 3 bedrooms in here. And honestly, the 2 upstairs are pretty spacious, but the parents have their own bedroom sort of like downstairs, like in the front. We've ended up fitting a living room, only 1 bathroom, but we have a living room, sort of like a reading area, a bathroom, a kitchen, a dining area, and then obviously we have the 3 bedrooms as well, one for the parents, one for a child, and one for a teen. But you can see I'm just sort of like working on this. What was going to be like a reading area, I end up changing it around, but I'm just trying to put some toys on like the bookshelf again to make it look a bit more sort of like kid friendly. But we do end up changing the layout around because I was slowly starting to realize, where in the hell am I going to put my bathroom? And there was only really one place for a bathroom to go, and it was at the front. So here I'm working on the parents' bedroom. It's going to be at the front of the house, and the dining area is going to be at the back of the house. I end up again sort of changing around the kitchen so I can fit an archway from the kitchen into the dining area so that I can have more room for my parents' bedroom, because so far they've got the smallest room in the house. So that is what I'm figuring out now. Yeah, I'm moving my little kitchen around. So the kitchen is still completely functional. It's just like a bit smaller. But it's still really cute. I end up putting like a little coffee station as well in the end. And there's a few things that I think base game is lacking in. Firstly is like kitchen counters. They have some really nice like industrial looking kitchen counters. But other than that, the rest of them are pretty dated. Like dining tables and dining chairs are honestly like fine. They could do with a few more like bathrooms and a few more like fireplace things. Like in the bathrooms, we only really have like the 2 types of bath and shower combos, and they're both kind of ugly. Toilets are fine, and honestly, baths were fine, but like sinks, I find really like again dated from base game. Like they're not my favorite. And like sofas as well. We have like a lot of weird fancy furniture in like very bright swatches. Um, so yeah, it's kind of difficult to do a all base game build because a lot of the stuff is just like you've got everything that you would need for like a functional home, but there's just not a lot in base game, unfortunately. I would really like it if they updated base game, because like they give us a lot of expansion packs in The Sims. And I don't know, I just really would like it if they just sort of like updated the base game to add more stuff. I was talking to Cam, my partner, about it the other day, and he was like sort of making a point of how many updates and like big updates like Minecraft has, and like games like that, where they add like completely new things into the game, and you don't have to pay for those. Like, you don't have to have an expansion pack for those. So I don't know, I do wish that The Sims just sort of updated the base game a bit, gave us some more beds, gave us some more sofas, just more furniture, because I mean, obviously it's free now, but for a lot of people that have already bought the base game, like, it's not very good. But that's my little rant over. I'm trying to figure out how to put a computer into this house, because I always like to put computers into my homes, because it's just, honestly, you need it for a lot of gameplay. So I'm trying to figure that out now. You can see I'm trying to like move the layout around, because I didn't really want a desk like right in my like front area as soon as you walk in the front door, but I ended up doing that, and I think it turned out fine. Honestly, like, this whole house is not my favorite, um but I like it. I like it good enough in the end. I'm just working on sort of like what I want. I've got pretty much all of my like furniture down. I end up going in and like changing like swatches or changing things, but pretty much I was just trying to figure out where I could fit stuff. This like wall tile from base game is honestly one of my favorites. It's really, really pretty. I was just almost having like a hard time figuring out what flooring to do with it, because I knew I wanted tile, obviously. But that's sort of I ended up using the same tile and flooring in the bathroom and the kitchen, just because like I liked it and I figured it would be fine. So now I'm trying to find some wallpaper, and that is another thing that we're really lacking in. We have quite a few like plain wallpapers, but I mean, they all have like trim, but we have a few plain wallpapers and some nice swatches, to be honest, and that is what I use in the majority of this house. I use like the burnt orange for the living room, the dining room, the entryway. I use a nice blue for the parents' room. I use, I think, another blue for like the teens' room or something. So like that is nice, like the plain sort of colours. But in terms of like nice wallpapers, we have like one that I love to use in kids' room, which has like loads of spots on it, and then like like the leaf wallpaper I also really like and use quite a lot. But we have a lot of like weird, fancy looking stuff in base game. I don't know why. I don't know why everything looks so like posh, but it does. For some reason, at the end of this build, every part, like every bit of clutter that I put in this bedroom gets deleted, like at the end. Just, I think it was even before I uploaded to the gallery, which was so annoying. But I'm just going in and adding some plants in this parents' room. Just honestly, base game plants are also kind of ugly. But I'm just going in and adding some of that, just whatever clutter I can. I tried using these flowers. I don't think I've ever actually used them before in my life. So I was like, all right, now's the time. I'm using them. And there's like that artwork, it's called like Birds of a Feather. And then there's also this one that always looks like a watch to me, like one of those old fashioned like pocket watches. And I really love that artwork, especially in like industrial places. Again, rugs I found a little bit tricky, but I like the rug that we ended up with in this room. And again, I don't think I've actually ever used it. And that is what I enjoyed quite a lot about this. It's not really a challenge, but what I enjoyed about this build was because I ended up using a lot of stuff that I don't normally use or have like never used before. Because I have so many packs now, I always just use stuff from packs, because A, I've spent money on them, so I like to feel like I am getting as much out of them as I possibly can. But also, I just really like the furniture in a lot of the packs, and just like a lot of base game furniture doesn't really do it for me, especially when I have like better options. So it was kind of fun trying to figure out like what I could use. And I really liked what I did with the curtains, like mix and matching them. I don't know why, but I just really liked it. It looked like one had been like pulled and the other one hadn't. So yeah, in the end, I actually did end up enjoying this build quite a lot, and it didn't actually take me that much time, because there's not that many items in base game, so it was a bit more like straightforward, honestly, because I didn't have to like scroll for ages trying to figure out like, oh, what item should I put here? But now I'm just working a little bit on the kids' rooms, and I wanted them to have two different beds, but I wanted them to both have bunk beds to obviously like maximize the space. So this is going to be the teens' room, and this ends up more being like a dark sort of theme. So they have like the guitars on the bed. It ends up being like very sort of like orange and blue and black and very sort of like industrial, whereas this is sort of like a kid's room and it ends up being a bit more sort of like pretty. I don't envision it being for like a really young kid. I'm imagining maybe like a preteen or like a really early teenager, whereas the other room, this industrial bedroom, I imagine being for like a more sort of like older teen, like maybe like 17, 18, that sort of thing. So yeah, honestly, a lot of the like these bedrooms were pretty easy to put together. Like it all sort of works. Like that desk I've used in here, I honestly don't think I've used either one of those desks before in my life. But I actually really liked them in their rooms, and I was honestly impressed that I was able to get across like three completely different aesthetics in this house, and to actually have the means to do that in base game, I was honestly quite like impressed and shocked by, because I really didn't think I would be able to. So I'm just figuring out the color schemes. Like I don't want it to be too matchy matchy, like just orange and blue or just like pink and purple. So I do go in with some more different colors, but like I mentioned, this one is going to be very sort of like industrial. So I love using that lamp. I use that in a lot of industrial builds. Honestly, base game has quite a lot of nice industrial items, so it really wasn't that difficult. Like there's this sort of like line called Raw, and they have like kitchen counters, they have like hallway tables, like they have a bunch of nice stuff in that line, and it's all very industrial. So it worked out pretty well for me because I could just use stuff from that line. And I ended up adding in like a little sofa in here under the bunk bed. So this teen has it made. They have their own little chill space. If I had spa day, or I think it's like outdoor retreat, I would have put a cooler in here so they could like, I don't know, have like a little hangout place with their friends. I think I end up putting a cooler in when I do the all packs build, but honestly I can't remember. And I pretty much use the same curtains throughout this whole build, but because they have so many different swatches and you have the two variants of them, you can use them pretty much all over the build and it doesn't just look like you've repeated. I did think about putting a sofa in this bedroom, the pink bedroom, but I decided against it because it's meant to be sort of like a younger teen, and I don't know, I never had a sofa in my bedroom. So I figured I would just stick with like the little bear chair and they could just have their nice little dresser under there. And I wanted it to seem a little bit like they still had some of their like childhood things with like those paintings and stuff, but maybe they had grown up a little bit and that's why they had so much space and so much stuff. And I used a mirror in their room as well, which again, I don't think I've ever used that mirror, but it worked pretty well in here. It wouldn't have been my first choice. I definitely would have liked something a bit more cutesy, but it was fine. And I was struggling so much with the roofs. With the roofs, like it just kept like pulling my camera up and down. And I did try moving the roofs at one point, but then it took all of the columns with them. And honestly, I just could not be bothered with it. So I just dealt with it. And I cut out quite a lot of me just struggling with the roof jumping up and down. But I'm using some new clutter that we got when I believe it was just before Growing Together came out. They added a bunch of new sort of like baby things to the base game. And I'm using a bunch of those, like that toy basket. I use sort of like the bear hamper looking thing. A lot of like the baby clutter items that they added with that update I used in kids' rooms. And I really quite like the items and I like using them in kids' rooms. The parents' room, by the way, is pretty much done for now. And I actually really like the way that it turned out. I was like pleasantly surprised. This teen's room is definitely going to be more of like a music lover. I envisioned it for like a masculine sim, but I mean, realistically, it can be for whoever. It's not really gendered. Neither of them are. And I added this like little I was going to call it a postboard, a chalkboard. I have never used this llama thing. It's normally really, really big, but I sized it all the way down almost as if like it's a toy. That is the only thing I will say. All of the stuff that they added in the base game Growing Together update, none of it's functional. It would have been nice if like the toy basket actually functioned as a toy box, or if the llama actually functioned as a toy, or whatever. It just would have been nice to have some functionality to it rather than just like decoration. But I still appreciate having more decorative options because honestly, we were quite lacking before. I put up some of those like shoe pictures because like the kids have grown, and I had to use that base game like closet thing in the hallway, which I do not miss the days of having to use that. That was before like Dream Home Decorator and High School Years come out, because now you have those like boxes that you can hang clothes off. But before, everyone used to make like their walk-in closets using the base game ones, and honestly I have not missed having to use them. I'm just working on the kitchen. You can see I was changed out my counters completely. I don't think I've ever actually used those counters before, but it was at this point that I was like, let's go a bit more colourful with this. So I used those like baby pink and white counters, which again, not my favourite, but I didn't mind them. Like, I didn't hate them. I definitely prefer the kitchen in the all packs build. But for the most part, the kitchen came out fine. We've got some counters that have some clutter already put in them. We've got a nice chalkboard. I end up putting a coffee station, like I mentioned. We've got an indoor trash can. Like, what more could you really ask for? The kitchen is a bit squishy, and uh, I stuck with the sliding glass doors as the back door because where I'm from, that is just what everyone has. If you have a back door, it's pretty much a sliding glass door, and a lot of them come from the kitchens. So that's why I left it there, but honestly, it was a little bit big and it was making a little bit of a hard time for me doing the kitchen because the door was just a little bit too big, so things were like clipping into it. But I'm adding in some clutter. I've added in my coffee station. We've got the chalkboard, which is really cute. I did add in those mugs. I end up deleting them because I just could not get them right. You can see I'm trying to put these books up on top of the fridge. I was trying to get a shelf to see if they was got to the shelf to get them to the right height, which is a little tip. If you can't get stuff to slot to, like if it doesn't raise up to the right height, a lot of the times you can just get a shelf, and if the item slots to it, then you can just move the shelf wherever you want on the wall. Just hold an Alt, and then if you just move the item off, it'll be to the right height. So that is a really good tip. Unfortunately, it did not work for me with these books. But I just popped in a shelf as well, just above the sink, just to add a little bit more of clutter. So I added in the salt and pepper shaker, I added in the little plant, I added in a cookie jar, and I added these strip lights. Honestly, not my favorite again, but I wanted a bit more extra lighting in there. And a lot of like kitchens that I see have like little lights that come underneath the little underneath the cabinets. Why am I blanking? We don't have cabinets in our flat, so I wouldn't know. But houses that I've been in normally have like lights underneath them. So I thought I'd do that. And I added in a little runner into the kitchen as well. And that is pretty much the kitchen done. It's a lot more bland than I would normally like to do. Like, I feel like if you've seen any of my builds, you know I like to really clutter, especially with like plants, which is one thing we are very much missing. But I put this like nice hutch in the dining area, and I went in with my little curtains, and the dining area is pretty like basic. It's just a dining room with a dining table in it, and I had some nice little like clutter items, but I needed to make sure that the ladders would still be functional, so I couldn't really take up too much space. So I didn't put too much in. I really like that light actually from Base Game. It's one of my favorites for sort of like again like industrial style. I don't know, I really like it. That blue lampshade I popped in, and I used a painting that I have never used before in my life. I don't even think I've seen this painting, and it didn't particularly work with my color scheme, but I was just like, do you know what? I'm just gonna put it in. I've never seen it before. It looks cool enough. It takes up the whole space. I'm gonna just use it. I use this lovely rug, and that is actually a stripy rug. I think I end up using it in the living room, but when I was looking through the swatches, there was like this beautiful like purple and green swatch that I actually ended up using in another build, because when I saw it I was like in love. I was like, I've never seen that before. And I'm now just cluttering up the bathroom. Sorry if you see me looking over, my dog's like got her head rested on the top of the sofa looking out the window. She's being really cute. But yeah, the bathroom again, not my favorite. I really hate that bath and shower combo. It's like, oh, it's so ugly to me. But I put in like a little hamper. It's not functional even if you have laundry day, but it's just nice. It's for decoration. I added in some towels on top. And it was at this point I realized I just had base game ticked. I didn't have the holiday pack ticked because the holiday pack doesn't come with base game, but it is like base game, because you don't have to have any other packs to have it, but it's just in like a different thing to take. So I realized this whole time because I was like looking through, I was like, where the hell are those like fairy lights that I always use? And I couldn't find them, and I realized it's because I didn't have the holiday pack checked. I end up adding in some mess as well because there's quite a lot of Sims living here, and especially with them being having sort of like older kids, I imagine that they make quite a lot of mess, and there's only one bathroom. So I put in quite a lot of mess. I was trying to really use like I've been trying a lot to not just use saucer lights, but to use like different lights and like sconces and lampshades and stuff. Honestly, it was a little bit difficult with base game because like a lot of the items are very large, and they're kind of hard to put places. But we're moving on to the living room now, and this is the stripy rug that I was talking about. That green and purple swatch, I don't know, I just really liked it, and I've never used it before. Honestly, I don't normally like the stripy rugs, but I used it in this one. I put a lovely mirror above the fireplace, and you can see I moved around the layout. It was just to make for more space, and I needed everything to be functional, so I couldn't. Honestly, it was quite tight, trying to fit everything in. But I ended up deleting all of this stuff, and I just hang some pictures on the wall because I felt like I was trying to go too like artsy with it when it's not really an artsy house. It's more of like a traditional family home. So I just put some art on the wall. I had some little fairy lights, and honestly, that is pretty much the interior completely done. Again, it really didn't take me that long. It was pretty easy. It all just sort of came together once I had figured the layout out. But yeah, I'm not in love with it, but I think I like it a lot more than I thought I would. And honestly, I found a lot of items that I do think I will be using again, like that stripy rug, like never used it before, and now I've used it in a build literally just because I tried doing a base game only build. So yeah, there are some wins. I'm just cluttering up in the living room a little bit. Again, I wanted it to look kind of like messy and kind of like there were kids here. Okay, so let's pop into the game and you'll be able to see how much my new crest is filling up. I've been building a lot in my new crest. Where are my homes? Wait, are they in Willow Creek? Yeah, they are. Okay, so this is the base game home up here. This is the all packs home down here. So you can kind of see a difference already, but let's move in to my base game home. I just put in a random sim, but this is my little base game home. This is how it looks if I go in tab mode, so we can see our little family car. Honestly, I love the colors out here. Like the orange and the blue would not have been my first pick, but I really, really like the way it like worked out. Okay, so if we start going into our beautiful home, we have a nice little walkway here. We don't have a dedicated driveway because I didn't see the point in putting a dedicated driveway, but we do have a lovely chess table right around this corner where you can come and play chess. And we also have some plants here. This is sort of like the debug items I was talking about. Like this, a big plant is from debug, the watering can is from debug, and that stall back there is from debug. But I think it looks cute. I like our little house. We're right opposite the golf house. And then when we walk in, so the entryway is probably my least favorite area of the house, just because you do walk in and you have this desk like immediately right here. But we do have some nice, oh, I'm inside of my sim. We do have some nice clutter on this desk. Like we have a CD, again, maybe like the teen left in there. We've got some books, some tissue. We have a place for you to hang your coat. And we also have this base game atrocity. Atrocity. Yeah, honestly, it's not bad. Like, I actually quite like it. I like the boxes on top. I like the hanging clothes. I think it's more swatches that I have problems with. The same with this shoe rack. I just really hate the swatches. I wish they came in like just a normal like white, black, like that sort of thing, but they don't. But yeah, honestly, like with the boxes on and stuff on top, it's honestly fine. And like with the shoe clutter, it's fine. I actually don't mind it. Like, I don't hate it. And then we have like our little baby shoes on here. We have two because obviously we have two children. And then this is our galley style kitchen. So you walk in through a nice big archway and it's pretty colourful. Honestly, you have like your little coffee area because again, you've got two kids. We've got sort of like a cheap fridge and a cheap oven. Honestly, it was just because of the way it looked. It wasn't really again for like price purposes. We've got our lights, which you can change in live mode if you want to. We have again some nice little why am I so low down? We have some nice little clutter, and then we have our little shelf up here with our salt and pepper. And again, we have our we have our clutter already in the cabinets, like there's some glasses and some plates and stuff. So honestly, it's nice in here. Again, that wallpaper is like so nice. It has some really nice swatches. If we get out of the wall and we go into the living room, you'll see here, this is a new base game item that they added in the Growing Together update. it's meant to have like nappies and stuff in it and like towels, but I think it could work in here. I think I put it in when I thought we were having younger children, but I think it still works. It could be like blankets and stuff, or it could be extra towels because the bathroom is literally right here. But this is our little living room. You have like a nice little seating area right here. You have a beautiful fireplace. There are some stuff for the kids, or maybe they have their friends over. They've got a Bluffy, they've got a toy box, and they've got a cactus. It looks plastic to me, so I'm sure it's fine. There's just some nice pictures and some beautiful fairy lights on the wall, and you do get up to the teens' bedroom through that ladder there. So maybe it wouldn't be ideal because you could probably hear the TV late at night, but in a real home, I imagine there'd be like a hatch or something. But there was just no way that I could fit one staircase in this home, let alone two. So we did have to use ladders, unfortunately. But yeah, there's some nice artwork here, and then we just have our nice little like TV area. We've got the TV, the curtains. Honestly, this living room turned out really freaking cute. We have this coffee table, which I really love all the clutter underneath it because I think it's so realistic. Like in my homes, any sort of like flat surface, like a coffee table, a desk, a dining table, like whatever it is, if it's flat, it's getting cluttered first. Like because it's just so easy to just put stuff there. Like we don't have a coffee table in this home or a dining table, but like the desk and our like chest of drawers in our bedroom always gets cluttered stuff on there first because it's just easy to just put stuff on there and then honestly just forget about it. But we have a nice little bookcase here. We've got some books on top, and we have a music player so you can listen to music. There's a little backpack in the corner from one of the kids. There's a nice little plant and some books, and then we just have a nice, very simple, comfy enough looking sofa. Honestly, it looks like a sofa I might have had in my family home if it was like a darker color. But unfortunately, this sofa only came in 3 swatches. Don't know why. But you got this sort of like fancy chair over here. I like the fact that the furniture is like mishmashed. Why can't I talk? Because I feel like that is very common, like especially where I'm from. Most of the times where I'm from, if you buy like a sofa or something, it's gonna be secondhand. Like it'll be either you buy it on like Gumtree or like you get it from a charity shop. So a lot of the times growing up, there'd be like one sofa that was like one color and one style, and then you'd have like a non-matching other sofa or a non-matching like chair. So I don't know, I like it, and it sort of like seems more sort of like family home and cozy to me if it's like mix matching. A side note, is it mix matching or mismatching? I feel like it's mismatching with an S, but I never know. So I sort of like mash them together and I'm like mismatching. But yeah. Then we're gonna go into our little bathroom, which honestly is pretty small. I would not want to share this bathroom with like my whole family, but we have a nice little medicine cabinet, so you can have at least some storage in this bathroom. We've got our toilet with a plant on, and you got some toilet paper. We have our nice I see this kind of like being like a medicine cabinet mirror. So you have more storage, and then obviously you have some storage under the sink. So there is actually quite a lot of places for storage here. Toothbrush, soap. We've got some nice blinds here to literally completely cut out the windows because you don't want anyone looking in because this is at the front of the house. We have our hamper with all of our like rubbish, and then we have this bath shower, which I hate, but honestly, it's very realistic. I've been in many a bath shower combo that look exactly like this. And there's like a towel on the door, which honestly is pretty fancy. And there is like a little robe here. And then that is no, it's not the full downstairs. It is not. So if we go in the kitchen and we go through this archway here, we come into our dining area, which has this big painting that I've never used before. We've got another hutch that has some plates and stuff. So again, more storage. We have a nice lamp in this corner, and then we also have a nice plant. And again, this ladder leads you up to the child room. And then, oh, I've gone outside. On our dining table, it's just like a very simple dining table. It has a bowl of fruit because in my home, like bowls of fruit would normally go like on like a dining table instead of like in the kitchen. So that is there. And there's also like a notebooks because I imagine maybe like the teen doing some homework here. Where in the hell is my painting gone? And then if we go back through the kitchen, you can see our lovely aprons here. And then we can go into the parents' room, which again is like the smallest room in the house. So this is the parents' room. You walk immediately into a bed, so they can't woohoo here, unfortunately. But I imagine, like, they're married, they're probably not woohooing that much anyway, and they've already had their kids. But you can see it deleted literally all of my clutter in this room. I have no idea why. I don't know why it did that, but it's very frustrating. So all clutter I did have in here has been deleted. But there's a jukebox, there's this thing which is so cool. It's like a pocket watch and like some letters and stuff. It just looks really like antique. It just looks really cool. Honestly, I'd love this in my house. There's a mirror, those ugly plants, and a little sunflower painting. And that is the whole of the downstairs done. So let's go upstairs. Okay, first room on the list is our teen's bedroom. So this is what it looks like. If you come up the ladder here, this is what you will see. You'll be greeted by a dresser, which I really like that one. It's newer that they added to the base game. I think it was made by a CC creator, but I really like it. Oh, my dog has farted and it stinks. Lily. There's like an industrial lamp. There's like a treasure chest, which kind of look cool to me. There's a mirror. There's another lamp. Honestly, all of this stuff in here, like, is really industrial, and I'm really vibing with it. I really like the industrial style. There's a pride flag, and there is some postcards. There's like a Star Warsy kind of picture because I didn't want it to just be like cool industrial kid. I still wanted it to be like a teenager, like maybe they're cool and they're into music, but maybe they're also a little bit nerdy and maybe they like writing. So they have some, like, another little lamp here. Honestly, I really love this lamp. They've got some like cologne, they've got some pencils, some books, and some CDs. They've got another backpack, they've got their sofa, and they've got their little bed. And they also have blinds in this room because I figured, being a teen, they'd probably want their curtains closed like at all times, because when I was a kid, I was basically a vampire, like when I was a teenager. And then we come into the younger bedroom, which this is what it looks like. This one's so like colourful and like happy and like cute. It's definitely given more like younger kid vibes, but not like a child, if that makes sense. So you come up, you've got this little llama dude, you've got like a place to sit, maybe like if you have friends over, and you've got a little violin, a nice mirror, some animal pictures, a little laundry hamper, and you can be a little scientist if you want. You can also write. I could have sworn I put in like that emotional journal note because that's from Parenthood. So yeah, you've got a place to do your homework. You've got a violin, so you can get the creativity skill, you can get the logic skill or mental skill, whatever it is for kids, using the science table. There's some toys up here. You've got Bun Bun. You've got just some cute little stuff. And yeah, some more clutter over here, some like little nail polishes and stuff. And yeah, that is pretty much the whole house. I will show you the back garden and then we'll be done. That is the front garden. Let me go back to the back. So for the back garden, it's very, very simple. I literally just added in a patio table for you to eat at. There's a grill. There's a bonsai tree, which is another sort of like skill item. There's a telescope. You can die from that, so be careful. And yeah, there's a little bench. These things that are hanging down right here are from Debug. I had to place them up there. It was very irritating. These are also from Debug. And then on the side here, I created this little area, again, all from Debug, to try and make it sort of look like it's sort of climbing up the house. But yeah, that is my finished base game Craftsman family home in The Sims 4. Lily is snoring again. Lily Bean! But yeah, that is my finished Sims 4 base game build. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and leave me a comment down below letting me know what you think of this build. Do you think I did a good job? And how often do you build using only base game? Thank you for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one very soon.